see if I can quietly and wait for people to go, you're not talking, you're not saying anything. Good evening, everyone. How are we all today? I'm just gonna get my computer up. I just have to do all the tech stuff that I have to do quickly. I don't know, all I have to do is I just move the button spin on there. Hold on, what have I done? Don't know what I'm doing. Sorry, the screen's just disappeared. I'll just bring it up so I can see the comments. 2 seconds. Okay, cool. Right, I've got comments. Good evening, Kerry, Keely. Hello, everybody. Slow start. I'm starting slowly this evening. Okay, how are we all? Can I just make a note of the time? It's 8 o'clock. I'm here. I'm spot on. Being prepared. I've got some YouTube videos uploading in the background, so hopefully that won't disrupt the internet too much. So, how is everyone? Do you know what? I don't ask this enough. I always talk about me. I'm very good at talking about me. But how are you guys? How's everyone's week been? It's Thursday. We're still in lockdown. It's still shit. We have no idea when we're going to come out of it. It's still shit. So yeah, no. How is everybody? How are you all feeling? How is everyone coping? Whether you're at work, whether you're in lockdown, that kind of stuff. Ping it into the comments because I do love to hear sort of how everyone's getting on. And obviously we'll talk about how I'm getting. I don't know how you're finding my background. I've just noticed there's a picture behind me. I think that's been there before. That is me fighting with a lightsaber, and these little green dots are all of the little robot things that shoot lasers at you when you're doing your lightsaber training. So yeah, so Jonah did that for me. Should I stick a background on? This in nearly a year. It's still not plastered. It's fucking ridiculous. So yeah. Cool. Just reading people's weeks. Kerry's it's been quite quiet, boring. People can't wait to get back to work. I totally get it. Yeah, I totally understand that. So yeah, another week. I guess there's been a bits that have happened this week. It's been a nice transition in terms of kind of how our companies are moving forwards and sort of what's going on and stuff like that. So that's been quite nice, and it's been lovely to watch the teams that I work with, the teams that I don't work with as much, I guess, that aren't my direct team, because obviously we've got the teams of people that we have that are not my direct team, so I don't work with that regularly. So it's been nice to see all of them really developing, really kind of moving things forward, really kind of driving different businesses in different areas in different ways. And yeah, that's quite exciting to see. And I'm learning a huge amount at the moment and developing. I would say I'm probably developing quite a lot at the moment as a person, but also as a CEO of a slightly bigger organization. We're moving to sort of the next stage of organizational size. So yeah, so that's been good. I don't really know where to start, I guess. What a great live on Wednesday. I don't know if anybody caught the live. I know there's a couple of people here that will have seen it. Really good live with Wednesday with Graham. So behind bars, Graham's show is moving quite nicely. Really kind of happy with where that is at the moment and the journey we're going to take with that. It's a really close to my heart, this one, not just because it's a prison show. I mean, I like the fact it's a prison show. It's something I know, but obviously I'm very close with Graham anyway. It's the third show that we're producing with 50mm media, so that's quite special, really. And yeah, so Graham's letting me use him as the guinea pig, so that's all working quite nicely. And yeah, it's going exactly as I'd planned. So yeah, that's cool. I'm absolutely knackered. I don't know if I look it or not. I think I look quite tired, quite bagged under my eyes. But last night I was up till 2 in the morning, and the night before I was up to 2:15 in the morning. Emma and I have actually been working on something for the prisons. We've been developing something along with the marketing guys. So we've been doing that. So it just so happened the time we found, we kind of started work about 8:30, 9 o'clock the last couple of nights. It was a little bit later last night, and we were working through till 2. So we get sort of about 4 hours in each night, 4 good hours. So Emma and I have plowed in about 16 hours this week, on top of what we normally would have done between us. and started to produce something quite special. I think another couple of days and it'll be pretty much finished. So that's been interesting because it's meant that I've added an additional 8 hours onto my work week. This week, my work week's probably looking somewhere in the region about 75 hours ish. So that's going to put me, well into the 80-hour work week. And it's been a little while since I've done that, I'll be honest, partially because of lockdown, because we're closed. So I'm just not in the operational world as much as I was. But yeah, certainly feeling that a little bit. Last couple of nights, just late night. So I'll be finishing tonight's Joy and Joel, jumping in the hot tub, and I'll probably call it a night there. I don't think I'll do too much work this evening because I've got lots of what I need to do over the weekends and stuff like that. So anyway, that's been that bit. I'm trying to think what else has happened. There's been no kind of mass excitements. I guess today actually, the works team were in today, and they were looking at the execution room floor and getting that uncovered and what that would look like, and putting a hole in ready for the new visitor center and stuff like that. So that's looking quite special. I think they're doing more work tomorrow and then Monday, and then we're kind of getting towards a almost a finish point with that. And I think Lauren and her team can then get in and start doing the decorating pieces and putting the cabinets in and getting museum stuff in. So yeah, it's all looking quite nice. Yeah, it's been, like I say, I don't think there's a huge amount that sort of, just trying to think how my week's unfolded. I'm a little bit up and down today because I'll tell you about something that happened earlier this week with Shepton, and that kind of, it's one of those things that would really have used to have pissed me off. Like it would have proper pissed me off. And kind of, I'm learning. If you remember from last week, I think the week before, I was sort of saying I'm starting to really learn to take things in my stride and not panic and worry, and not kind of like I have to react to it now, and just sort of kind of let it go. So yeah, so that something happened at Shepton, so I'll talk about that in a second. And then yeah, today again there was a little thing that sort of happened just at the end of my day today, which is more niggly than anything else. It's just people, I guess, just being a little bit disrespectful, being a little bit taking a piss. And this is none of our employees, none of our team, is something completely external from this, but just sort of getting an email and people saying, well, just in the terms of kind of, well, we'll let you do this. I'm like, well, that's really nice of you to let me do that, considering that's completely what I'm legally entitled to do anyway. It's just one of those things, you kind of have to pick your battles really to a degree. And I think it just sometimes is just a bit of a lack of respect. And I think that showcases more on the individual that's doing it rather than anything else. And I guess that will actually, do you know what? I'm going to mention something here. I'm just drawing a circle with a square. I'm going to mention something here that I said to Zoe, who works. I had a long conversation with Zoe about this a little while ago, who works at Shrewsbury. Good few months ago now. It was when we were open back in I don't know, October, whenever it was we were open. When we were talking about money, we were talking about people earning money, and we were talking about how money changes people. And Zoe was very much saying that money changes people. I said it doesn't. I think I've talked about this before. Money doesn't change people. It just brings out the person that's already there, and it just brings that person more to the front. In the same way as when you drink, you see a real person because you lose your inhibitions. You lose that, and anything you kind of hold on to have people perceive in a way that you want to perceive you, it kind of goes when you drink. That's why I like having drinks with people, because you get to know the real them. But yeah, and money's kind of a similar thing. I don't believe you get money for whatever reason, make it, gift it, whatever it is, and that you suddenly then change to become a different person. I think you're already that person. You've just not been in a position to exercise it, if that makes sense. And today I was chatting to somebody who basically was, just a little bit disrespectful in the sense. I think it was more of a case of looking at us and going, well, you're down here and we're up here, and that's kind of how it is. But that person would be like that anyway. That position doesn't change with or without having the money. It changes. It just, they might not say it. I think that's kind of where I'm getting to. So Oh man, Laura's just dropped her earpods down the toilet. No way. Well, I hope it was already flushed and you can get back out. Um, so money does change people. I don't think it does carry it. What it does is it allows them the freedom to do the things they want to do, but it doesn't change the individual that's already there. And I'm pretty convinced of that. Um, and I like to think that I'm a good example of that, from having nothing to having something, and sort of the walks of life I've had and stuff like that. It doesn't. I've always been a dick, and I've always been a dick about certain things, and I'm just as much of a dick about those things with money. It just you kind of look at it a different way. So yeah, I'm very particular. Let me think about this. How I'm going to put this. So I'm really particular about restaurants. Really particular because I I trained as a chef. I trained as a silver service waiter, and I was brought up in a very middle class environment. I was taught to, eat correctly. I was taught to hold my cutlery correctly. Almost kind of like not quite finishing school, nothing like that. But I could quite easily go and have, an 8 or 9 course, very black tie dinner, and not have any problems with the cutlery or how it goes and all different classes, all that kind of stuff. No worries. But it means I'm very particular. So if I go to like a greasy spoon for breakfast, whatever, it is where it is. But if I'm going somewhere, I'm going to pay a little bit more money, or it's kind of a little bit more upmarket, or it's a little bit whatever it may be. I expect a certain level of service, and when I don't get it, I get really pissed off. So, for example, when we go on holiday, we stay in really nice resorts generally, and well, depending on where we go, but when we do go to stay resorts, we stay in really nice resorts, and because of that, we have a certain expectation of a level of service, and when I don't get it, I get really annoyed and I get quite arsy and I can get quite difficult. I'm not rude, but I'm particular. And I've always been like that. That's not something that I now do because I can afford to do it. It's something I've always done. It's just that I do it in places where they cost more, if that makes sense. So yeah. Anyway, I've digressed. I've gone down a rabbit hole. Let me just read some of these. I guess there'll be music in mono. There'll be music in mono for a while. Um, rice. I've never seen the dry and rice work. Harriet dropped her phone. Do you know what? Harriet dropped her phone. I think it was a couple of years ago now. She dropped her phone in the toilet at work, and she brought it up, and we didn't have any rice, so she stuck it in a bag of muesli. Stuck, I think it's muesli or porridge oats. There's a bag of that in the kitchen at the work. So she stuck it in that, just had it on the shelf, but it did not work at all. Um, I'll just read the comments. Sorry. Oh, do you know what, guys? I was so looking forward to having you. I'm gonna pick this up quickly because people are saying about how they're really looking forward to have coming back to visit. There's been so many changes done at both sites. A lot at Shrewsbury. Obviously, I've been able to see it. But there's a whole new visitor centre at Shrewsbury. So Lauren and the team, Lauren and the team and the external guys, they've literally sorted all the internals out to build a new visitor centre, and it's looking really good. And the change in terms of site, the interpretation spaces, it just looks great. I know the team at Shepton are doing a similar thing. So yeah, it's looking really good. And we're going to start looking at getting the logos out soon, so you can see the new brands and see what they look like. I will try and squeeze them in for you guys first before they get released. But I think they're supposed to go out on a Tuesday, and we do this on a Thursday, so I'll have to be proper low key if I do share it. So yeah. Oh, I'm going to come on to a comment in this. Diane, I'm going to come back to that in a sec. So yeah, so that's really good. So we're really looking forward to getting you guys back. So yeah, that was that. Diane, I'm going to come back to your comment if you don't mind. So Diane said it drives me mad while people treat me like pond life because they have more money than me. We're all the same underneath. I'm going to come back to that because I think that's absolutely right. And I think there's a balance here, and I think it'll be really interesting. We'll come back to it. So Diane, just hold that because I'd love to hear your thoughts on something I'll talk about in a bit. So what happened this week was the developers that own Shepton Mallet Prison, they have to reapply for their planning application every 3 years because otherwise it runs out basically. So they just have to reapply. It's a very simple process. They just put a reapplication in, exactly the same application, goes to the council, they rubber stamp it, done. No major issues. That happens all the time with developments. There's some developments have been have planning on them for 20 years, and they just keep renewing them and renewing and renewing because the time's not right to do it for whatever reason. Money, finance, economy, scalability, whatever it might be. It's very, very common practice for development to take a long time. Okay, so these things get rubber stamped every few years. So this got rubber stamped and it got picked up by nothing major, but got picked up in the local area of Shepton Mallet, and it got shared on Facebook, and it had a raft of comments of people suddenly, because they see planning reapproved, they think, oh God, development work is going to start tomorrow. So everyone's like, oh, it's such a shame. And there's obviously a lot of people heavily supporting what we do, which is amazing. I'm really grateful for that. Some people that don't think it should be attraction think it should be houses. I understand where you're coming from. I don't think you're right, but I understand it. And yeah, so just a huge barrage of comments. So that's, it's annoying. I look at it, I'm like, oh, it's really annoying, because then people think it's going to close, or it is closed, which it's not. It's obviously it's shut at the moment, but it's going to go on, and we've got, you know, a decent length lease on it, and obviously we're going to look to buy it and all those kind of great things. So that's annoying. But then there's a parish councillor or a councillor, I think it's district councillor, who continuously says that the tourist attraction is I'm going to try and find the comment. The tourist attraction is has no plans for how they're going to look after the building, maintain it, manage it, any of that kind of stuff. And I'm like, that's complete. They basically almost, well, they massively put us down as a business. Oh, I'm going to bloody look for it now. I can't be asked. They massively put us down as a business because they do. Yeah, it's really quite damaging, because like I say, they say all these things that are just not true about how we've got no plans for how we don't have a plan in place to be able to maintain it, and all the huge costs that come with it, and you know, all the things that have to change, and you know, it's going to dilapidate, and it's going to go to ruin, and there's a big white elephant, this tourist attraction side of things. I'm like, whoa, hold on a second, whoa, stop. That's complete bollocks for a start. And secondly, you're putting all of this out there when it's not true. This person's never set foot inside the jail in years. They're completely unaware of how many people visit, how much money we make, how much we generate. I spoke to you guys last week about the profit levels we made last year, which I'm really, you know, I'm not disappointed with, but I'm annoyed because of COVID. We only made 100 grand last year in profit. That sucks. But we should have made more than that. And that money's bedded back into the business. I'm really ticked off with this big person in Shepton, because we spent nearly getting on for 50 grand last year in upkeep, maintenance work on the jail, just to keep it at a good standard. And then there's other stuff that we spend on it as well. So it's, you know, we spend a good chunk of cash on that kind of thing. And we're not a small company, we're not a massive company, but we're at a stage where we can certainly fund works, capital works, development works, stuff like that. You know, we're just literally, oh God, I'm having a fucking rant now. I'm literally having a rant. My counselling session. We're just about to spend 15 grand on a new activity platform we're doing. We just spent another £6,000 on redoing the escape rooms. We're spending another £6,000 on another escape room. We're spending, Paul, you'll really appreciate this. We're spending, I think, £14,000 in 50mm media on the studio side of things and getting that moving. And Lauren and Charlie have obviously been spending, you know, a good chunk of cash in the lockdown time. So I think Lauren's, you know, into, again, sort of about 15,000 in terms of visitor centres and those bits, and Charlie spent. So we're spending loads and loads of bloody money. And he just has no idea. I didn't say he. They have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. It really annoys me. I literally had a proper rant about that, because like I say, they're throwing things out. And I shouldn't have a rant, because the trouble is, if every time somebody said something on social media about you or your business that's just not true, you just constantly be doing that. So I have to learn to let it go. And I haven't done it yet. You can see it. It's because I'm really emotionally attached to these places, to the people that work really bloody hard to make them what they are, to the visitors that come and see us and support the attractions, to everything we do. And it just takes one single-minded, narrow-minded person who doesn't know what they're talking about at all, who's never visited the site, to start putting this stuff out into the public. And it's annoyed me so much because I've actually been told that they went to a council meeting and said basically that exact stuff in a council meeting to other councillors, to basically try and support the, the development. It's just, the mind boggles. And it's so crazy because we bring so many people into Shepton. So yeah, anyway, I digress. Let me move on to more positivities. Oh Jesus, yeah. When I'm PM, you can sack them. But you know what? I don't want to sack people like that. What I want to do is I want to be able to have a conversation with them and say, look, what you're saying is just factually not true. Why would you say stuff that's not true? Why would you go out there and play on your keyboard and go, this is what's happening? Why would you go to meetings and say things that aren't true? Do you like telling people things that are lies? Because you must realize that what you're saying, it might be true, but it might not. And when you're saying it, you don't know for 100% fact. You're just throwing it out there. So I just want that person. Trust me, Rachel, I don't want to bloody meet with them because they get me so irate. What I want to be able to do is say, hey, look, stop being a dick, like, basically. I get so much trouble for doing jobs. Laurie's done it. Laurie's literally done that. Stop being a bell end, yeah. So anyway, right, Diane, I'm going to pick that up. So Diane had said she really dislikes it when people speak to her I think it's a piece of pond life, because they have money. And I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. And I think that's a really good point to kind of the point I was making. So I'm trying to think of a good analogy for this to explain it. So I'm going to use holidays, and please don't hate on me for this because it is what it is. And I really like you guys, and I don't want you to hate on me for this. So we'll go for it, see what happens. But I've taken loads of different holidays in my life, loads and loads and loads. I mean, it's interesting. I speak to Emma, who came from a slightly different, very different background to me. She didn't go abroad until she was, I think, 13 was the first time she went abroad. Whereas I've gone abroad all my life. It's quite regular for us. When I was a child, a toddler and stuff, we'd go to France on the ferry and stuff and do all those kind of things. So I've done lots of holidays abroad, lots of countries I've traveled to and stuff like that. I've been very fortunate in that sense. But I've done lots of different styles of holidays. I'll go camping with Emma and the kids and my family and big groups of us. I've stayed in tents, obviously on caravanning. I've slept in bivouacs in the fields with my friends when I was growing up and stuff like that. We've roughed it. Emma and I would go to the circus camps with the kids, and we'll stay in like a camper van, or we'll stay in a little tent for a few days with just like some portaloos and no showers or anything like that. So I've certainly been to areas where those kind of holidays, and then I've been to decent hotels and not so decent hotels, to kind of like all-inclusive hotels and varying different things. I've done Benidorm and Malta and stuff like that. So the sort of traditional kind of things you would see for the all-you-can-eat buffets and things like that. And then when we went to Dominican Republic a few years ago, we did a very similar thing. So it was all-inclusive, so big buffets and lots of people piling up all these plates and all that kind of stuff. And the food was okay, but it wasn't amazing. And the rooms were okay, but they weren't amazing. But the weather was great, and the resort was nice. And so a lot of people in a big resort. And it's a big crowd, and I'm sure lots of people have been on those holidays, and you guys you get what I'm saying, I'm sure. And then a few years ago, when the businesses started moving, we paid off all of our debts. So we paid off most of our personal debt. We had a house in Shepton. We were renting a house in Shrewsbury before we bought this one. And money was okay. It was all right. We weren't struggling, and we didn't have debt. And that was the first time in a long time. Probably since 2007 we bought our house, and I think 2010 heavily went into debt. So yeah, it was a good sort of 7 years that we'd lived in debt, and that was a big thing. And suddenly we didn't have it. So one of the things we did was we took on, or we kind of bought into it. It's not quite a timeshare. It's effectively a membership scheme, if you will, with a huge amount of hotel accesses and resort accesses and different things in different countries. We can go to stay like Disneyland in Florida. We can get villas and stuff like that. We go skiing. We could rent villas again, or chalets and stuff like that. So loads of things. But it's really I would say it's quite a top end. It's moving from sort of like a 3 to a 4.5 sort of 5-star basically. So when we go to, like, if I explain Dominican Republic, for example, you turn up if you just go to the hotel for normal. So just a normal person, package holiday with Thomas Cook, for example, or Tui, or whoever it is. I don't think it's Thomas Cook. So you rock up and you check in. There's, everybody will get off the coach together. You go from the airport onto a coach or a minibus, go to the resort, drops people off at other hotels on the way. There's all hotel trips, and you get to yours, and a few of you get off, and you queue up at reception, you check in, you get your key, and then somebody will walk you down to your room. And then, you come into the restaurant and the bar and stuff like that. So you get a wristband, a blue wristband, whatever color it is, you go to the bar and all that kind of stuff, buffets, all that kind of thing. And when you're around by the pool, it's a big pool, a lot of people, you obviously reserving your sunbeds, all that kind of stuff. It's fine. It's great. Kids love it. To them, holiday's a holiday. They don't compute anything else. But we scaled up on that. So what happens is when we arrive, we actually speak to our concierge before. We get a concierge when we're on holiday, and they drop us an email normally about 2 weeks before we fly out, and we have a conversation, just like, so anything we can get for you, anything we can prepare for you, anything you need when you're here, type of stuff. Just let us know now, and we'll get everything ready for you. So you do that, which is a lovely piece of before sales care, which is great, or before service care. And then we fly over there, and we land in the airport, and then we get picked up by a private taxi, if you will. It's effectively it's a private car service. So they just pick us up and they take us straight to the resort. And it's nice because if you want to stop someone on the way, you say, "Oh, can you just stop and nip in and see that cafe, or can we just go to that shop or something like that?" And they'll stop and they'll do that, and you can do that, and they'll help you and all that kind of stuff. And you get to the resort and you walk in. There's a queue of people, obviously, queuing up to check in. And we go straight into the members area, which basically is a big air-conditioned space. It's got loads of food in it, loads of drink in it. The concierges are all there, the staff all there. As soon as you walk in, the bags are just still with the taxi driver. Somebody else has sorted that out. And you go in, and they look after the kids. They sit you down, like, have a seat. We'll bring everything over to you, all the paperwork. Just have a seat, grab a drink, whatever you do. So we do all of that. And you sit down, you have all of that kind of stuff. And then the room's really nice, and there's private areas for members by the pools and different restaurants and stuff. And the level of service is amazing. It's up here. It really is top notch. And it's expensive. It is not cheap. It makes a holiday a lot more expensive, but the level of service you get and what you get for that is so much higher. It does make it worth it. And I guess what I'm getting to the point is, if you buy something or pay money for something and it's a small amount of money, then how do I put this? If you buy something or pay for something, it's a small amount of money. In retrospect to what you kind of earn or you have access to, you're not as worried about it. But when you pay a lot of money for it and you don't get what you're expecting, or something goes wrong or it breaks, it's annoying, and that frustration gets taken out on the people delivering it, unfortunately. And that's not, I don't think that's people trying to be mean. It's just, it's a reaction to it. So there's some lovely things like that. And I guess the hot tub, before Christmas, when my hot tub broke, I was really pissed off about that, like really, really pissed off, because it was a brand new hot tub and it was like $7,000, and it broke like 3 weeks after we had it installed. And their response was, when I spoke to them, was like, "Yeah, we'll sort it out after Christmas because we're busy now installing other hot tubs." I'm like, "Well, never mind the tubs you're about to install. Come and fucking fix the ones you've already installed that are broken." And I was really annoyed by that. So I was very irate with them, because initially I pushed it, and they just were like, "Well, yeah, we'll sort it out after Christmas." I'm like, no. That's not the way this works. So I really was I wouldn't say I was rude, but I was really, really forceful. And I would say that's the one place you don't ever really want to be with me, is on the wrong side of me, because I can be a nasty bugger. And I was really, really firm with them. And I took a very strict line, but I wasn't rude. But I wouldn't say I was polite. And I didn't really feel like I could be polite in the situation. I really should be polite. But like I said, I wasn't really mean. And again, with the treadmill breaking, again, it was an expensive treadmill. I'm like, damn, I want to get this fixed. So I don't think it happens like that. And it is all relative. It is all relative. But yeah, I think it's just one of those things that, you know, you should always treat people with respect. You should always be nice to people as best as you can. I think you should always, you know, try and put yourself in other people's positions. I think you should always try and empathize and understand. But at the same time, and in the same breath, I do think that, you know, if you expect a certain level of something, or it's been kind of agreed or put out, and you don't get it, and you know, there's, I don't know, it's a really tricky one. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm ranting. Glenn, hello, save me. I'm ranting. It's Friday tomorrow. Woo woo. I love your videos, Glenn. You should absolutely be all over TikTok. You would be a TikTok god if you use that. Your Friday videos would go viral. I'm convinced of it. They're amazing. I'm just having a little rant, I think, about I guess a mixture between, I guess, customer service expectations, how you treat people and stuff like that. But yeah, I like I said, I try and treat people with respect. I'm certainly not perfect at this. You know, I am hard with people. I had a meeting with some of my team today, and I was chatting to a couple of them today, and I was saying that earlier this week I was really, really hard on my marketing team, like really, really hard. And I'm quite publicly harsh as well. I'm not somebody that pulls people to one side and does it on the quiet. I don't do that. I will tell you what I think with everyone else in the room. That's just my way. I will always try not to be rude. I won't be personal, obviously. If it's a serious instance, then I will obviously do it in a separate matter. But if you're not doing your job properly, or you're not doing it to the level you should be doing it, or you're not delivering, and it's impacting other people, because obviously all our services do it, then I'm going to flag it in the environment that we're in. And if that means that other people are there, then, you know, that's just the way I work. And my team know that. I think they accept it, but they know that, and they know that's how I work. And I am really hard on them, and I push them really hard, because I've got a certain expectation of what I want delivered. But I also know that they're capable of taking it and growing and moving forwards and developing. Although I don't always think they like it, because, you know, it's not always nice. But then I prefer. I wish they'd do it back sometimes. I think that's really interesting, because it's rare, and this is what I miss from not having Chrissy around. Really, Chrissy used to really let me have it. Like, if I did something, she would turn around and she would say, "Joel, that's fucking not on, mate." Like, or she would really pull me up on it. She wouldn't let me get away with anything that she thought was too far. She would probably have me on it. I can't remember if I told you guys. I must have said back in a while ago, about the incident with the lady at Premier Inn. And actually, that's a good example. I should have bloody used that one, because I was rude to someone. I was rude to somebody that didn't deserve it. There was no reason for me to be rude to her. It had been a stressful day, not her fault. I'm not using this as an excuse. I had a stressful day. I was running late. I had to get to another meeting, and she literally was just. She wasn't being purposely awkward. It's not her fault, because it's a system that Premier Inn use that just is just awkward, and it's just silly. And she kind of tried to force that on me, and I was having none of it, and I was rude to her. And when I came back from my meeting, I'd been able to calm down, I'd been able to think about it, and I realized, fuck, I was rude to her. And I saw Chrissy, and Chris was like, "Joel, you were really fucking rude to that woman." I was like, "Yeah, no, I know." And before I even had the chance to say it, which I was going to say, I need to go and apologize to her. Chrissy went, "You need to go and apologize to her." And I was like, "Yeah, I know." She's like, "Let's go find her now." I was like, "Okay." And Chrissy marched me down the corridor as if, like, being a naughty child, and found the lady at reception so I could apologize. And yeah, that's what I did. Was I apologized for being a dick. So yeah, yeah, that's it. That's it. I've completely lost my train of thought. So yeah. That's it. Oh no, I was saying about my stuff. I like the idea that people push back to me sometimes, but it's really difficult, because how do you turn around to your boss? How do you turn around to the top dog, to the head honcho, to the person that makes, you know, drives everything forwards? How do you turn around to that person and go, "You're being a dick"? or what you did there was bang out of order. Because people are worried, aren't they? I mean, how many of you out there, and do tell me, how many of you out there would turn around to your boss or to the boss of the company, the owner of the company, go, dude, you're being a dick, or what you did there was not on. That was not right. Like, it's a big ask. And I'm not talking about, if they did something silly like punch somebody, or was clearly this not legal. I mean, if you berate somebody in front of the class, whatever it might be, it's a tough line to ask for. And I think that's one of the reasons why I knew I needed to work for myself, and why I'm naturally entrepreneurial anyway. It's in my DNA. But I think that's why a big reason why I had to work for myself, because I always did that with my bosses. If I saw something I didn't like, I'd go, hey, you're a dick. And if I didn't think they were very good at their job, I would also tell them. I can remember working for the healthcare company that bought my failed business, and I can remember working for them, and we had some real issues in the management structure. We didn't have effectively an operations director. We had a finance director, we had a CEO, or CFO, and the CEO, but we had no operations director, and it was a mess. The morale was shit. Everyone hated everything. Yeah, they really hated it. And it was very evident to me, very obvious, that what the business needed was an ops director to manage the operations, but also the people, and get everything back on track. And I remember sitting with them and sort of saying, look, there's a problem in the ranks, there's a problem in the offices, there's this issue, this issue, this issue. These are all massive problems, and they can all be resolved. And they were like, okay. And I said, basically, we need to have an ops director. That's what we need to do. And our CFO at the time, she was like, well, I can do that as well. I was like, you can't. And she's like, no, I can. I was like, no, you can't. Firstly, because you're busy being CFO. Secondly, you'd be a really bad ops director anyway, because you're a CFO. And thirdly, people don't generally like you because you're not nice to them. So you'd make a bad ops director. You would tell everybody exactly what they need to do, and you'd be so authoritarian and dictatorial that nothing would get done, and morale would be even worse. I said, I can do it, and I can take this on, and I'd like to, and this is how I would do it, and stuff like that. And yeah, they were like, yeah, no. Like, so yeah, it was. But I've always been like that, always. And I can be the best employee in the world, but I can also be the worst. And I don't think I've got a middle ground. I'm the best, or I'm the worst, and there's nothing in the middle. And that's why I would say I'm unemployable. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs are like that. They are very, very difficult to employ. And it's interesting because whenever I employ people, I always look to see if there's an entrepreneurial flair, if somebody's going to go down that road. And I always try and employ people that will go down that road. But I also recognize that at some point, they will have to move out of employment. They'll have to move into running their own business and kind of their own way, and working more in a partnership rather than a hierarchical model. So it's different. Right, let me have a quick look at your comments. Geez, what people be writing? Let's have a quick look. Laurie, I do it to my boss all the time. Why does that not surprise me? Let's have a quick look. Gary, I wouldn't. My boss scares me, although I don't like him. Send the lady some flowers, Joel. She'll feel good, and so do you, mate. Oh no, I don't need to send her flowers. I went and apologized to her. I had a long conversation with her. I apologized. Chrissy said it was the most awkward apology she's ever seen, or the weirdest one, but it was fine. I did it. Oh, Laurie, a bit different. I'm a nanny, so I work for parents, but I've told them in the past they were totally in the wrong for doing certain things when they could. Well, that's a tricky one, that is. Oh, Morris, I love that. Often told new governors their new idea is crap, but then really well. You know your job so well. And I think that's important as well. How many jobs have I had? God, I've had a lot of jobs. Rachel couldn't send me to my boss. See, that's where it's sad, Kerry. Do you know what? And I totally get where you're coming from. I'm not saying you're sad. I'm saying this is where the situation's sad. So Kerry said, if I was on my last day in a job, then I would tell my boss some home truths. I think if you work in an environment like that, that's not good. I mean, I'm not blaming you at all. I'm just saying that's what my Mondays are all about. When I do my Monday motivation, I'm like, Monday is Monday. I want every single person that works anywhere in any of my organizations or connects to my organizations. I want those people to love coming to work. I want them to enjoy it. And I'm not saying they're always going to enjoy it. I'm not saying everyone's going to be loving flowers and everything's great. And hey, high fives, you're amazing, all that kind of stuff. Because that's not the thing really. When they're shit and when they fuck up, I'm going to tell them, hey, you fucked up and you need to fix this, or you're not performing to standard and you need to perform to standard. I'm going to tell them just equally as I'm going to turn around and say, hey, you're doing a good job. And I'm actually not somebody who, I'm not particularly good at giving praise, not because I'm not good at doing it. I kind of forget. I kind of like, I sort of look at it and go, well, that's your job. That's my expectation of what you should be delivering. So when you deliver it, I'm like, cool, you're delivering what you should be delivering. And I should be more like, hey, well done, you're doing really well. And thank you. Because, that costs me nothing to be nice and polite to people. But I must admit, I'm not great at that. But I recognize I'm not great at that. And that's why I've got a Shelley. So yeah, it's that is just one of my weaknesses, if you will, or it's not one of my strengths, I should say. But yeah, I would hate it if people worked in our organization and were like, oh, well, when I leave, I'm going to tell Joel some home truths. I'd rather you tell me the home truths now when you work for me, and we can sort it out and we can fix your organization and make it go forward. So yeah, that's kind of the difference. Morris, I've got some complete tools, especially to get it right. Cool. When you're retired, every day's a Monday. Morris said he has to ask Alexa what day it is. I forgot what year it was today. I was chatting to Charlie on the phone, and I was like, I was trying to think of something. I was like, what year is it? 2020, 2021? He was like, 2021, Joe. I was like, you sure? Like, shit, I was like, lost a year. Okay, right, I'm going to finish up. I'm going to go through my jobs. Let me run through my jobs. So we'll go through Joel's illustrious, glittering career of jobs. Let me see if I can name all these. So I started working as I did a paper round when I was 11, I think, delivering the local paper. I got paid £7 a month for delivering paper. I only had to deliver it once a month, in fairness. So it's £7 for that. I then did sticking up in the Skittle alley, so sticking up Skittles in the village. I was washing up in a pub. I've waited in a pub, and I moved on to waiting in a pub. And I've worked in 1, 2, 3, oh, God knows how many pubs, but certainly 1, 2, 3, 4 local pubs I worked in for a while, and I worked in one of them for a long time. I moved from working as a waiter into like catering assistant, and then I worked doing my, I went to college and became a chef, so I was working then as doing my training as a chef and did some work obviously in a pub as then. I started my first business at Glastonbury in 1997, I think it was. It lasted 2 days. So I did that. I went to Australia. I worked door-to-door selling security alarms. So for ADT, selling security alarms. I worked in door-to-door selling for businesses, selling crap out of a bag for a pyramid scheme. I came back to the UK. I worked door-to-door in the evenings, knocking on people's doors to try and get them to sign up to charities and change energy supplier and stuff like that. I did that for like a week and shit. I worked in other pubs. I have worked in a yogurt factory twice. So I went to Yo Valley in a yogurt factory twice. I then became a lifeguard. So I became a lifeguard. And then I worked in a gym. I worked as a gym instructor, and then still in the same leisure centre. I went as a gym instructor into personal trainer, exercise class trainer, and then I moved to another leisure centre, and I became a duty manager, and I ran the gym. And then I took over the same company. Then I took over leisure centre as a leisure centre manager, and then I left again for the same company. I got promoted the third time. And I became the health and well-being manager. So I looked over all the health and wellness across 17 sites it was then. And then I took on lots of project work in that role. And then I started my own business, which spectacularly failed, which we've spoken about a few times. And then I went and worked for the company that took that business on. So I worked with them for 3 years, I think, as I was setting up the prisons. and that's it. That was it, wasn't it? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and then obviously left them and work in prison. So yeah, I've had quite a few jobs. They're quite varied, but yeah, it's and a good background to them. So yeah, it's a good range. What did Rachel say? She got my oldest son to talk to you about being a chef. Then he started Shrewsbury College in September doing catering. Yeah, no, absolutely. I love being a chef, and it's set me up really nicely. It's a really good skill set because I know how to cook. You love my cooking, don't you? Yeah, I really enjoy cooking. So yeah, and it's a great skill to have. But yeah, Rachel, absolutely get him to drop us a buzz. And hell, if he needs a job over the summer or something, he can come work in the restaurant with us and get some hands-on experience. That's no worries at all. So yeah, so that's it. Right, okay, guys, I'm gonna finish up. I've waffled and whinged and moaned a little bit this evening, so apologies. And I'm not sure what we'll talk about next week. We'll see what happens in my week and how it unfolds. We'll go from there. So yeah, lots of ordering tomorrow because tomorrow is a day where I'm going to spend. God, I think I'm spending like 30 grand tomorrow. And it's not a brag, it's not a boast. I love those days because tomorrow I'm going to be in there. I'm going to have my card, buying all the stuff for 50mm media, buying all the stuff for the new activities happening at the prisons. So yeah, it's going to be a good day tomorrow. So I'm going to go get popped up and then some sleep. So thank you very much. See you all next week. And don't forget, Graham's show is on Wednesday. Make sure you tune in for Behind Bars on Wednesday next week, where I can't remember what he's discussing. It'll be a good show nonetheless. So see you later, guys. Take care and bye.